As a consultant, the first thing I do, I will tell people before we do any analysis, have you changed out all your lighting to LED? Have you gone through and audited your home in terms of, are there uh, uh, breaks in your, places where wind is getting in, or do you have a energy efficient HVAC? Do you have energy efficient refrigerators and appliances? Um, do you have AC, and when do you run it? You know, uh, those are all things to take into account. But as far as you can literally just with LED lighting can knock off almost 20% of your bill. And that would save you a ton. Not only 20% off the bill, but now you don't have to put as many solar panels up there to offset your utility usage, and therefore not having to spend as much, right? So absolutely, that's everybody should be doing that. Even if they're not getting solar, they should be checking their lighting, checking their drafts that they have in their house, looking at their anytime you buy a new appliance, make sure it's energy efficient. And then if your water heater goes out, replace it with a tankless water heater, something that's much more energy efficient. And for instance, that's water on demand. There are other options out there too for water heaters. But by the way, the investment tax credit that you get for your solar, you can also, if it's done at the same year that you're doing the solar, you're doing the LEDs, you're doing energy efficient windows, you're doing energy efficient HVAC, you are all of those things. You can fold that into that cost. You can fold that cost into that investment tax credit application with the IRS and put everything in there. It isn't just the solar panels. If you're putting when you're putting the panels on the roof, if you're having to re-roof, that's a great time to re-roof, because that section of the roof that you're using for your solar panels is also allowed to be written off in this investment tax credit application with the IRS. And there's so many things that people can do in their homes before they even get to solar that is doable just by running off to Home Depot or Lowe's or somebody like that.
Mark, I have a question. Based
Yeah.
on all that you've just said, would the installer come and then determine, based on what you've done, determine how many panels that you need for your house? Is that how that works?
Right. Well, they will look at your most recent bill. Okay. Now, ideally, you've made these changes and they can look back over the last 6 months and see the benefits. But if you've told them that their algorithms, they can look at what you've done. If it's something that was done in the last month or two, they can figure that out and say, okay, well, you're going to probably save this much, so I won't need to add an extra panel or whatever. Keep in mind, not only do you have to do things before, not only should you be responsible about being as energy efficient as possible in your home, not only for the planet, but for your pocketbook. You should think about the future too. I mean, are you going to add square footage to your home? Are you going to add air conditioning? You know, a lot of people the HVAC people are very busy right now because the climate change is happening and we're getting longer periods of hot weather. So many people, even those of us at the beach that didn't have AC, many people now they're getting AC. And that drives up your usage. If you're getting an EV, obviously more and more, I mean, look, they just came out with a Hummer, an electric Hummer, which sounds almost like a cartoon, but so electricity, electric is really lifting up. Coal, they say, will be off coal entirely by 2000, or solar energy or renewable energy will eclipse coal by 2025. And so that most of us will be working a lot cleaner by 2025. So you have to think about those things that you're planning for your house in the future too. And you have to tell that to your installer, because your installer has to know that, because he has to build, they have to build out for that. They have to prepare for that. So, oh, you're going to have more square footage, more AC, an EV. Oh, I need to probably offset you of your current utility usage by 120% versus 105% or something like that. Take care of what you're going to do in the future.
Mark, what's the biggest pitfall that you think average people need to know about, and the one that you just think, oh gosh, I can't believe that, you know, that
Well,
continues to happen, or
there's all
whatever?
kind of education. That's why we, Beach City Solar, we do not market. We do these. We try to educate our consumers. We try, we speak to Rotary clubs and all of those service organizations and schools, and it's education. It's know enough to be dangerous, but when that guy comes in there and is going to sell you a solar system, first of all, remember, you want to make sure it's kind of like what do they call it? Getting your eyes tested. You probably want to do that 2 or 3 times to get a real accurate reading on your eyes, right? Well, same way with solar. They need to see as many bills as possible so they can get an accurate reading on exactly how many panels they need to be up there and what it is you want to accomplish. Do you want to be 100% off renewable, off fossil fuels? And what are you going to, and like I said, some solar installers won't ask that. What are your plans for your house in the next 5 years? Okay, so you need to really be educated on what, and make sure this solar installer or whoever you're getting your bids from has all this information, because when you're comparing one bid to another bid, they may not be apples to apples. One guy may have taken just your bills and said, okay, here's how much solar you need. Another guy may have taken your bills, but said, oh, you're going to add square footage, blah, blah, blah. So he added more panels. His bid looks more expensive, but in the long run, he's going to save you a lot more money, because otherwise you're going to be paying that money to the utility companies.
So if you plan to sell your house within a 5-year window, let's say, would it make sense to put on solar, because you might be able to have you might have a more attractive house for sale, or kind of what are the parameters?
Typical rate right now, Zillow says that your house increases by there's a 4% greater chance of selling your house quicker if you have solar. They say the appreciation on the west side, where you guys are down south, is $6 a watt. So if you have a 6,000 watt system, it's $36,000 appreciation. Okay, now do the math. If I know that I'm selling my house in 5 years and I want to put on a $20,000 solar system, my ROI, depending on what my bills are per month, but probably $200 a month, my return on my investment probably is not going to happen for at least 5 years if I'm financing, right? So, not really a cost benefit there. If you're leasing, you're gonna have to get rid of the lease. You're gonna have to turn the lease over to the new buyer, or you're gonna have to pay off the lease. So that's gonna cost you money. I guess the short answer is, if you're planning on selling in 5 years, let the new guy put the solar in.
Mark,
Yeah.
one more question from my perspective is, all this sounds complicated. Is there, but extremely interesting and important, but a lot of information you have to take on board. Is there kind of a one-stop shop for figuring any of this out, or
Sure.
do you really have to kind of?
There's guys like me. You get a consultant. They don't charge you. I don't charge you. I get my money from the installers that I use and all of that. but they'll watch out for you. They will get you the best deal on panels. They will make sure that the installers, you're the foreman, basically. You're the guy that the consumer will call and say, hey, the guy wasn't there at 9 o'clock and say he was going to be in. And then I go and find out why. So try to deal only with installers that have been in business 10 years or longer. There's a pitfall. I have had so many people call me to come and look at their system because they can't find the guy who put it in. Right? And they come and go. So unless a person's been in business for 10 years or longer, preferably longer, but at least 10 years, I wouldn't go with them. You just, you want to go with someone who's established, who you will be able to call on. By the way, they also now, this is something new, they also now have insurance you can buy that if for some reason something goes wrong with your panel, and this has all happened because of this, if something goes wrong with your panels and you can't find the guy, that he's out of business, that installed them, by buying that insurance, which is another probably $2,000 or $2,500, you're covered. Someone else will go and fix them for you. The insurance company will send somebody else out there. So it's for some people, I've only seen it happen one time where someone bought that insurance because they had a bad experience with that company not being around anymore. And so you can do that. So that's the option. But just to make things easier, I would just stick with companies that have been in there 10 years or longer.